All right, Historic, let's play, huh? Historic, for those newer to Magic Arena or Magic, is the non-rotating format on Magic Arena. Non-rotating means unlike Standard, which loses sets in the fall of every year, this format just gets bigger and bigger and bigger in terms of the card pool available to it. Sometimes cards are removed from the format via suspensions or bans, but for the most part, the format does just grow. One of the excellent things about Historic, and one of the ways in which Historic derives its name, is the fact that cards from Magic's history get added to the format every quarter as well. So the end of April / beginning of May, we should see Historic Anthology 3 drop, which will introduce some new cards from Magic's history to this format. In the last Historic Anthology, we saw a set of these Psycho lands added to the format. So these enter tapped and tapped for a single color, and for one singleton mana, you can cycle them from your hand, which is great. This deck that we are playing here to start is Big Red. It is a mono red, aggressive, interactive ramp. It kind of blurs the lines in a couple different directions in terms of what it's doing. Big Red in general tends to refer to a red deck that's not quite all in on the aggressive plan, but goes a little bit bigger up the curve. So we have Mindstone here, a card from one of the first Historic Anthologies that lets us get to our 4 drops ahead of curve and our 5 drops ahead of curve. And then we've got some Heraldic Banners here as well that could make our creatures a little bit larger. Another sweet piece of synergy we have in this deck is Goblin Chainwhirler is an excellent card in general, but it's especially sweet if you play it after Torbran here. So Torbran increases damage from all your red sources, which includes the Goblin Chainwhirler's trigger. So Torbran makes Chainwhirler capable of dealing 3 to everything on your opponent's side of the board, which is excellent. Thanks for the 5 months, Hanged Ren, and thanks for the 2/3 of a year and the very generous Tier 3 Wargy. Fitting that I changed my Wi-Fi name to Huge Tracts of Land. That's great. Thanks for keeping me around. All right, let's pop on. Remember, the Historic ladder is currently closed because Wizards of the Coast decides they don't like us playing varieties of formats conveniently. We can still play them in these constructed events for 190 gems or 1,000 gold entry fee here. Hopefully Wizards reverses course on that decision at some point and gives us year-round Historic ladder. Bionic Quail, thanks for the half a year. Welcome back. Sure. Anybody that's feeling especially helpful, want to go on my Twitter and respond to the person asking what my mana base for this deck is and tell them they should stop trying to get my deck list from tiny crappy pictures on Twitter and they should check my Stream Decker page? Hey, thanks for the 13 months. Goes today. Appreciate that. Welcome back. What happened to my tier 3 from a week or two ago? It was Historic, Mardu, Snapdax, or Mythos. Can you drop me an email, Draken, and let me know what that's supposed to be? There's been a lot of churn over the last few weeks, so there's a chance I removed something that I shouldn't have. Or mix things up. Is Cardboard Live not on? Good question. Does it not load itself automatically? It does not load itself automatically. Right, let me fix that. Thanks for the heads up. I'm used to Deckmaster would load itself automatically after I'd unload it and start it back up. All right, Cardboard Live should be active now. If it's not there, refresh your stream. Hey, thanks for the 16 months, Zazzy. I appreciate that. Welcome back. No, that was standard Punch Raid. I think Draken said Historic. Discord message works too. Yep. I think I'm gonna do this and then Lava Coil this Risen Reef. And this literally puts them to 1, and then we've got a shock in hand. Good clean living here. You did hanged. Thank you for the support. I suppose this is true. This goes to 4, though. So if they kill this, they go back down to 2, and then they're still dead to shock. You know, honestly, one of the things looking at these Fires decks, do we think would Field of the Dead be oppressive in Standard? Yes or no? To cut a deck not already into the queue, into today's queue, just Kenneth, it's 10k in bits. As always, it's much less than that to submit a deck at a later date. Be played tomorrow, even much cheaper than that. I think I'm gonna do this and kill the zombies and leave them their Cavalier. Oh, I get to kill... No, I don't kill both. Yeah, I think we're actually gonna lose this game, huh? The life gain from Yarok plus Jungle Hollow, just putting it a little bit out of reach along with the second Field of the Dead to provide extra blockers here. The life link on the Desecrated really going to work. This just doesn't matter, right? Because we're just on board. Oh, I guess maybe I wasn't fully dead there, right? I could have blocked the 5/6, shocked a token, gone to 1. Yeah, I think I might have actually been okay there for a turn. Got some Ferocidons, we got some Flame Sweeps. Lava Coil's not particularly useful here. Chandra technically cleans out the board. Let's put her in. Let's give this a go. Sure, but is it... I don't think it'd be oppressive, but it would be warping. So by warping, you mean it would be playable, right? It would be playable, is what you expect it to be. Is it more playable than Fires of Invention? Has anyone done anything in Standard with Quartzwood? I would implore you to take a peek at the deck queue. And the second deck we're going to play today might tickle your fancy. How OP would a Yorion, Golos, Yarok field deck be in Historic? Probably not very. I think you'd get run down and just die in a lot of matchups. Yeah, M20 rotates out of Standard at the end of the year. Or October, along with Teferi. M20 and War of the Sparkleaf at the same time. Well, you know. Rough. Teferi is not an inherently bad Planeswalker, chat. There are plenty of Teferi designs that are fine. Greed does not wait. Sounds good. You want me to just play card for card your list from the open, just Kenneth? Thank you. Thank you for the support. I appreciate it. Enjoy your whale emoticon. Actually, I should probably wait on this. Nah, I probably want a Ferocidon if I hit the land next turn anyways. Been sitting in Diamond for the last week or so and just hit Mythic, used the Fire Stack, and 2 people conceded after game 1. Sounds about right. Glad I brought my backup Ferocidon here. So one of the better anti-fielded cards, denies lifelink and also makes them take damage every time they put a thing into play. Can a mod update the open command there to say congrats to Kenneth, but leave the emote the same? Because the emote's just going to change to their Kenneth's face in a little bit. You got a 3-2 door prize, Daz Beef. Congrats. Yeah, Christy, if you earned prizes in the Hoaglandia event, keep an eye on probably Discord, I would assume. Christy's going to be distributing some prizes here shortly. I'll keep so if you keep playing Historic. That's the plan, Alley-oop. Thanks for the 2 months. I appreciate it. Welcome back. In fact, you'll be happy this week. We're going to start sliding back in towards more and more Historic. So we're doing at least 2 Historic decks a day every day this week, and next week we'll probably be kicking up to 3 Historic decks on some of the days. Let me get disfigured. I'll give you a shocking revelation here. You played yourself, opponent. Ha! Got him. You love to see it, chat. You love to see it. He does indeed have first strike. He does not strike second, chat. He strikes first, and he strikes fear into the heart of those that oppose him. I think I just pass here with the plan being block Cavalier plus Shock It, or block Cavalier plus Flame Sweep. Cleans up nicely, right? You'd like to see Yarok Field tomorrow. I'll get that bumped up. As always, I don't make promises, because other people bump things around as well. But those will get added after I'm done streaming today for sure. Let's Field of Rune one of their Field of the Deads here before we Flame Sweep. How is Modern this morning? It was modern. It was certainly modern. Yeah, we should let first strike damage happen first. That is correct. That way they can't kill our Chainwhirler before their thing dies. Latest version. Got it. Sounds good. This isn't great because they get field back with the Cavalier trigger. Sure, if they're getting field back though, they're not getting a spell, right? Jowager, thank you for the brand new tier 1 sub. I appreciate that. Welcome, welcome. You're having a wonderful, wonderful day wherever you're at. Things are starting to heat up, chat. Trophy is the last card. Brutal. Yeah, they do also have a Memorial to Folly, worth noting, so they can pick back up Risen Reef here. Their next turn is going to be pretty good. They're going to get to go Risen Reef into Yarok, draw 3. Although I guess Shock denies 2 of those draws, so we got that going for us at least. So we'll kill Risen Reef here before it gets to trigger on the Yarok. We just do this. This Whirler's got first strike. Yeah, I'm surprised to see the jump block there happen at this point. When they announced they're making ban and restricted changes, they said they're giving us a week's notice. So if they plan to make changes next week, they would let us know sometime today. I mean, are you expecting bans? Oh, you're expecting bans in older non-rotating formats, right? It's a pretty good draw. You get to attack for 6 a pop now. Pretty punishing for them for not attacking here, which is great. Chandra Emblem. Putting them down to 6 here. Every land just gives them a fog here, right? Which is a big deal. Yeah, the banner giving the extra power has been super relevant for sure. That's probably the game, because I have to block both of these now. And they go to 1. And they die to the emblem. Yeah, close. Both games there. Very close. You know, boarding out this Ox is probably wrong. I think I want him to gas up with. I'm gonna trim a Shock. Actually, the Shocks were... Yeah, Bonecrusher Giant still. I'm gonna trim a Shock. Leave the Ox in. Thanks, Ruben. Thanks for playing. You were the, were you the Esper Hero player, or am I misremembering names? Regardless of who you were, thanks. Yeah, I'm looking forward to doing more opens. The tournament was good. I feel like we're really getting into a groove. I'm looking forward with more things that we can do in terms of the event. Nicky Two Shoes, thanks for 3/4 of a year. Welcome back. Some of the things I want to have happen for the tournament series won't be possible until the pandemic is over, because they involve having another person in to help us do coverage and producer type stuff. That I would like them physically in my home. Chris, thanks for 17 months. Yeah, like creating graphics and stuff and like easily putting them up on screen to talk about and changing through lots of different scenes. I really kind of need another person for that. Like there's already what I kind of feel are like semi-awkward amounts of downtime with me trying to do a lot of stuff and me trying to do more. If I'm going to be honest, I don't know that I'm really interested in having a really huge prize pool. And I think, like, even if Cool Stuff Inc. comes back to me and there's like, we loved it, we want to give you more store credit for the next one. I talked about this over the weekend and last week. I think if we get more prize support, it's going to be flatter prize support. Like, I really would prefer the price support be kind of flat so there's not a huge incentive to ghost. Because, like, we could say it's against the rules to watch the stream, and we do, but it's really unenforceable, right? So I'd rather have it be a more community-focused tournament versus cutthroat. Like, I think in an ideal world, if we're able to scale it up, I'd like to give prizes to everybody who goes, like, gets 5 wins, for example, I think would be a good line. We're probably just dead here. A pretty fast start out of the gate, and we did not. We just didn't do anything till turn 3, and even then it didn't really impact much. I agree, Stegall. Uro's a pretty obnoxious card. There was not, just Kenneth. I have no idea how many people we can have be live at one given point or not. Discord did not respond. Could have played Mindstone first. Yes, definitely could have. Thank you for pointing that out. Thanks for the land. These trade. I try, Brian. Comedy is art, right? They're up to 9 cards in their bin here, so Uro's coming back next turn. If I would have had Mindstone down, I could have played Chandra this turn, but that probably doesn't matter, right? If I'd have had Mindstone down already, I could have again run back the block plus Flame Sweep line. So that's a little unfortunate. Thanks, Alec. And if you're someone watching today that missed the coverage of the Open this weekend, it's all up on my website and my YouTube channel now. Be able to find that in both of those places. If you're someone that wants to watch it in its entirety, we covered bits and pieces of other matches, but I didn't put the small little bits and pieces match, like watching 1 or 2 games here or there. The only matches that ended up on my YouTube were ones that we had both players hand for and followed the match from start to finish. So there's technically a little bit extra content if you go back and watch the Twitch VOD. It is not organized and does not have the downtime cut out. Feels like we're dead here. I guess I can do this and then pass, and I can go block, flame sweep. Like we did last time. Yeah, did a removal spell here. I think this style of matchup's pretty hard for our deck. We're just not super aggressive, and the volume and types of interaction we have post board leaves a bit to be desired against Field of the Dead. Apparently Discord thinks my wife is a spam bot. And she was sending DMs to different people letting them know that they had won prizes from the open, and it told her she has to slow down and wait a few minutes. Yeah, even just the 12 matches that we had in full was a lot of content for one day, so. Alright, I guess we keep this and hope to draw some lands. Christy confirmed too efficient to be humid, right? Think you'll double the amount? So, I need to sit down and do some math. But one, I'm interested to see if we even break 250 for Historic. I'm interested to see what the player participation looks like for the other format. Like I said, Hype's definitely highest right after a standard release, so there's a chance that the player cap's a non-issue. But I think if I sit down and actually go through the numbers, I believe we can have more players without increasing past the 12th round. Like, we ended up with a 12th round this past weekend anyways. And I think we can get more players without adding a round, basically. Yeah, looking like Nexus of Fate here. I'm not sure if this big red deck is particularly competitive in this format, believe it or not. I think there's a good chance that it's a little bit too slow and fair. Yeah, I'm not sure that we can beat Nexus. If the opponent falls asleep, something like that. Could you explain what you mean by fair and unfair decks? That's a good question. So in Magic jargon, fair and unfair generally refers to a way in which the deck wins the game. So Nexus of Fate, if you haven't seen it, their deck eventually wins the game by literally taking infinite turns and then killing you with whatever win condition they chose to find. An example of a more fair deck is something like, say, Gruul Aggro, or like the Black-Red Lurrus deck in the current standard format that wins by attacking with creatures in a very honest manner. Thanks to Torbran's extra damage here, Chainwhirler plus Lightning Strike are able to take Tameo off the table since they do 3 + 5. The events on Magic Arena try to pair people based on current record, but it does also prioritize just pairing people quickly, so that's not always a guarantee. Oh, in Hoots. In Hoots, it was just normal Swiss pairing. It wasn't a formal bracket for the event. We did double elimination, but it wasn't run like a formal double elimination bracket. There's permutations of both that lead to that 12th round Mortex, is the TLDR. So, I mean, if we get a turn, and if we get a combat step on that turn, we have a good shot at killing them. Siege King does very slowly get around Fog. You can see here's the next update for people who haven't seen the opponent's archetype before. Historic is a format that I would describe as more slow and fair than something like, say, Pioneer or Modern in its current state, but it's still not a mopey format where you can kind of have no interaction like our deck is doing. I think the deck that we're playing is probably reasonable against various creature decks that are trying to win in fair manners, but unfair decks like the current opponent we're going to have a real hard time with. So my opponent's going to get to flip Search for Azcanta over here in a moment. Once that happens, if they take another turn, I'm going to concede. His fire's fair. No, I actually think the current standard format's pretty incredibly unfair. And that's something that we talked about last season too. Like, the Fires decks are cheating on mana in a big way. Like, the Fires deck's best draws involve making 14 manas worth of plays on turn 5. That's pretty far from fair. Yeah, I agree, Drock. In general, I don't actually think the opponent's archetype is that good in this format when you look at the other decks that are really competitive. I think the opponent's archetype is incredibly good against what our slow mopey deck is trying to do, but I think in general, when you look at how it lines up against a lot of things in the format, it's not very good in Historic in general. Although maybe that's not true. The last Historic Open, we had a number of Nexus decks in the top 8. Yeah, we had 2. It's tough to say, like, one. My experience playing good decks in Historic is their Nexus matchups tend to be good. One, like, it's hard to look at a single data point and go, this proves or disproves anything, right? Like, one 180 player tournament does not a format make. Like, when we're talking about Fires taking over in Standard, like, the Hoaglandia Open was a bunch of Fires and Reclamation decks. The Channel Fireball tournaments was a bunch of Fires and Reclamation decks. Hey, Big Z Wine, thanks for the 30 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Wonder if there's a good aggressive deck that tops off its curve at Winota and Ranger of Eos. I don't know that Winota. Like, Winota does not seem like a good fair card to me. Winota seems awesome as a way to punk people with Agent of Treachery, but I really don't feel like Winota is good enough as just like an aggro deck top end. I think the overall state of Standard is... I don't think the play patterns of the Jeskai Fire decks are particularly enjoyable. I think if Standard continues to move in the direction of lots of Fires of Invention and Wilderness Reclamation decks, the format is not going to be particularly enjoyable for me personally. And I expect to move away from playing a lot of Standard on this channel and playing more Historic. I do not feel like the aggro decks in Standard have appropriate tools to be competitive against what those decks are doing consistently. Neat, Tantrums. Well, we're going to do our best around here to address Wizards of the Coast's lack of tournament support for Historic. We're gonna be putting on a few Historic events per season. Or a couple at least. Couple two. Two's the plan.
Subject is easily agitated.
Thanks for playing, Squirrel Squad.
Let me aid your research.
Congrats and condolences on your finishes. 6 wins is nothing to slouch at. Love Struck Beast. That's very good against our aggressive deck, huh? No, there's no large Historic stuff in general, Maddie. The format largely just doesn't have any support. Details on how to submit decks can be found on my website here, Tantrum. As a heads up, right now, arena submissions are a little bit more expensive than normal, because with the set release, I'm a little bit backed up. But I expect probably 2 weeks from now, arena submissions will be back down to $10.
More data will be needed.
Whale poop. This Uro card seems pretty good, right? Alright. I think I'm just gonna let this one be a short one. I think this deck is... I think this mono red deck is something that could be competitive against a very narrow, specific subset of decks in Historic. Notably, an easy way to tell if this deck is going to be competitive against something is ask yourself the question, is Lava Coil a card against what my opponent is playing? If the answer is yes, this archetype's probably competitive against it. However, as we saw there against both Field of the Dead and Nexus of Fate, there are plenty of matchups in this format where there's a lot of matchups where Lava Coil just isn't a real Magic the Gathering card. A little unfortunate we didn't get to see ourselves paired into Growl or pair into like red aggro or creature aggro like white aggro, but again, there's a lot of matchup variety in these bigger formats where there's a lot of different things that are competitive, and sometimes you're going to have good runs and sometimes you're going to have bad. Feel low to the ground, mono rage, good historic. Yeah, I also think Gruul aggro is one of the better decks in historic, and I think this could be okay there. But again, with the random matchmaking, we can't pick and choose which matchups we get. So if you hit a bunch of ones where you just like have no shot, you're just gonna have a real bad time. All right, we're gonna roll on into the next one right away here. We're gonna try some Mardu humans up next, chat. Let's do it. Mardu humans, Mardu hero. Here's a question. Do we label this Mardu hero or Mardu humans? You can see it's hero in the stream title, but I've got humans in my deck editor, and I'm kind of split on which of the two we're supposed to be doing.